All right, we are back. Golden Tee World Championship here at the Westgate. Adam Kramer, Chris Longino. Good to see you, buddy.
Happy to be here. So happy to get to play our 11th World Championship. Since the first one was 2002. Just a wonderful event. It always has been, and it took us so long to get here.
Yeah.
And we're finally here.
So we are here. We energy levels feel pretty good, but yesterday was a big day. We'll talk about that. Let's start real quick before we get into what we're doing today. Golden Tee Mobile World Championship recap. What were your thoughts?
Just a huge buzz from last night. It was an incredible showcase of what these guys have been playing on for the last 2 years. I mean, it really was some of the winners of the pandemic were people that played Golden Tee Mobile.
Yes.
And one of the things that you're not surprising to any of us, but the top three guys, deep in arcade roots.
Yeah,
Very deep in arcade roots.
Yeah, absolutely. It was exciting, and again, we'll talk more about that throughout the day, but today's qualifying day. Here's the schedule of events right here, of course. This is about putting yourself in good position, right? Before we get to match play tomorrow, which is a whole new level of intensity, this is about, working up the bracket. So you've been in these things. What's the mentality heading in?
You can't win this tournament today, but you can certainly lose it.
Yeah.
All right. The goal today is to not lose this tournament. Do not lose your game. Keeping your composure. Don't let one shot bother you. All right. If you make a mistake, be able to move on. Everybody's going to make mistakes in this room today. The goal will be to minimize those.
All right. So, with a field this is a great field, obviously. So top 32 are going to move on. But are you, and you've played in fields like this, the best fields in the world, are you chasing? Are you, instinctively, is it hard not to chase on a day like today?
Well, no, I mean, the day is to keep the composure. If you get later and you're behind, that's when you begin to chase, and that's when you can really start losing. Things can go wayward at that point. If you make a mistake early, keep it together. A lot of guys are going to make mistakes today. They're on the biggest stage that we play on. So the goal is to keep it together.
$30,000 top prize. We've got odds on this, Las Vegas odds. We've got 20 machines. So we're going to be qualifying 3 people a pop on the machine. So how long do you expect a qualifying round to take per machine? These are the best players in the world. So it's not the normal tournament, right, where it takes a little bit while. These guys are going to fly through this thing.
I would guess in threesomes, which is most of this room is, all this room is in threesomes. You would have to believe they're going to take probably 40 minutes per flight, so 80 minutes per group. Times 5 will be 400 minutes. So, we're looking at a solid 6.5 hour day here. So.
Yeah, it's gonna. We'll be buckled in for it. Now, with the courses that we're going to be looking at, we just found out what these courses are, right? It's been sort of the secret. What has caught your eye?
Well, no forest, no temple. First off, no temple. Kind of one of the more easier courses. That would be a hole-out delight. 17 brings some interesting complications. No forest, null. That 17th hole, probably the most watered par 3 on the tour today. And that normally can challenge, but they don't have to deal with that today. So that means the number will also be low. Onse tends to also produce a lower par.
Yep.
So the number won't be maybe as high. Pine is going to be played typically 25 and 26, and then the Monster. Tropical Falls, perhaps one of the best remastered courses that we've ever had, and that will test these guys' mettle. I hope they go last with that.
All
today.
right, do we want to do a qualifier over/under? You want to go there? What the cut line's going to be?
I'm not into the match play prediction game this weekend. If I had to guess a number, we're probably looking at around 130, 131. That would be my guess.
That's a monster number.
That is a monster number, but for the best players in the field, the best players in the world, not unachievable.
All right, so we're calling matches now. We're getting going here. Who are you excited to see?
Well, I mean, today we on the stream machines, that's going to be a really exciting day. We start with Greg Kensler. Greg Kensler bringing back to the World Championship. We can go back to 2019, and if you remember what happened that day, shot a 22 under on Agave, which if anybody remembers back then, that wasn't a great score. And for most of the field, your tournament would have been over. 80% of that field, their tournament, that's the heart of the champion stuff. That's the way Greg Kensler has operated for 20-plus years. Potentially his last World Championship today. Potentially. Life's transitioning a little bit for him, and he's wearing all black, and when he's wearing all black, it's game day. It's game day for Greg Kensler.
Who else?
Well, just in his group, Paul Anthony Luna, the best player in the industry today.
I think the favorite, by the way.
The betting favorite. Only got down to 6-1. Wasn't a whole lot of movement like we saw in 2019 when Stemmer got all the way down to 2-1. Now, Luna comes in, not with a whole lot of momentum. I mean, had some good finishes, hasn't won since Nashville, 3 times a winner last year, and still playing at the top of his game, expecting to be a big factor in this tournament.
All right, so we've got 2 games wired up. We're going to be bouncing back and forth between them. I like to, Chris, like getting to see a course a couple of different times. For me, right? Not playing this as much because whether you're trying to be a world champion or you're just trying to watching this to improve your game, you're going to learn what a crash course, right? In this,
Yeah.
I mean, these courses have been out a while, but if you're still looking for tips or just want to be dazzled,
You got the best players to teach you right now.
you know how many people over the years have told me, oh, that's bots. No, BS. And you'll see what these bots look like. All right, so these guys are getting warmed up here, it looks like, and we are getting off and running.
As we kick it over, we're right now also in that group. Robert Washburn, relatively new player, but very good player, ranked somewhere in the mid-30s in the world right now.
Awesome.
And goal today for him, make the cut for his first world championship. Great
right.
group on machine number 2 there.
Yeah, we got a beautiful scene here at the Westgate. Things are rolling right along, and we're going to be nestled in for the next 6 hours, and it looks like we're getting going here.
Yeah, it's going to be a great room today. We got the best players in Golden Tee playing in our World Championship today. 96 of the country's best in this room. And also last night we filled it with 10 more players, and 10 some of them are really good players, potentially could make this cut.
Yeah, any surprises from that?
I wouldn't say surprise. I mean, guys that made it. I mean, the closest to the pin is such. I mean, especially when we're playing under the old rules, is such a little bit more of a random game. Jade McGillum is a name I would watch. Now playing with an injury right now on his left hand, with a little bit of a little fish incident when he was in Mexico last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hard-hitting reporting.
Yeah, well, we were talking about it last night, but, as I do with all these guys, every person that I gave him a big hug and told him, welcome to the World Championship. And guys like Jade, who's never played on this stage before and could potentially make this cut, it was a big deal for him, and you could tell.
I'm sorry. I'm going to need to know more about the fish incident at some point. That sounds like a very it sounds like an elaborate fish incident. So, all right, again, looking around the room, getting some last-minute, looks like a trackball change potentially, or, well.
Get a little work in.
Lock conditions. Yeah, getting a
lock
little work in. Kevin Lindsay getting busy, which is good.
Good. Good to keep him busy.
So, let's talk about nerves.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I haven't played in a tournament in a while.
Yeah.
But every time I did, the first time I did, I talked about it yesterday, I got very, very anxious. I could feel the hands clamming up. You've played in a ton of these in these types of events.
More than half this field is playing in their first world championship. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Almost up to half this
That's
field.
unbelievable.
Yeah, playing their first world championship. Now, we have a bigger field, the biggest field we've had since 2008. And, nerves is going to come into play big time today.
And if we're watching that, now we're watching a lot of guys that, by the way, have got the nerves out a long time ago.
Yeah, not much of an effect. We do have some of the greener players that are going to feel it today. Chisholm Woodson will play on a machine with Andy Haas. That's going to kind of balance out the speed, the fastest player in Golden Tee with the slowest player in Golden Tee.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. But with nerves, for me, I found it was putting.
Yeah, putting.
Is that
chipping is a common one. Chipping is the one where you just can't get it down, and you're almost kind of guessing when it comes to it.
That's an awful feeling.
Yeah, especially if you got some kind of shakes going on, and you'll see a lot of these guys. They may be having an adult beverage or two to try to work down those nerves a little bit.
Yes, so there will be adult beverages. There were a lot yesterday.
There were a lot, but this is Golden Tee. We're kind of used to this. And if you don't know us, we're Golden Tee. 18,000 locations nationwide. We're in bars across America. Yeah, we embrace it. That's who we are.
Yeah, look at you selling the thing accordingly. Mm-hmm. So, all right, so again, games getting up now. We're using lock condition cards, so everybody's playing the same conditions.
And Baharia is the course up right now. As we're looking over on the other machine right now with Danny Skurlock, Joe Massera, Mark Gomez. Joe Massera obviously just coming here fresh off the Top Gun Player of the Year championship of going this up.
Yep. Yeah. No, he's third or fourth selection on the odds board?
Yeah. And he was one up there, a guy that is really looked at that could win this tournament, and he's got momentum. He can win now. We know he can win. And it's all about applying it today and tomorrow.
Hopefully we can get in here, check out JoJo and others, and see how things are looking. We're looking over their shoulder here, and again, game's just getting started.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a technical issue on one of the machines.
Looks like it's getting squared away.
Yeah.
And here we go. We're off and running. And there he is.
There he is,
Mr. JoJo.
The 2021 Top Gun Player of the Year.
I could tell you my first World's memory of Joe Massara. I don't know the exact year, Gino, but it was the year we did it at our convention, our trade show. So it was a little, wasn't this? It was a little buttoned up, intimate, right?
Yeah.
That's a good PR way to do it. But I remember standing over watching JoJo and Andy Haas play, and JoJo honestly should have won the match and given him everything he could handle at the time. We were just kind of learning, and since then it's been off and running.
Yeah, it was. I could point to a time where in late 2015, the tour was running promotions about daily contests, and beating the daily contest on Fridays, and it would have Andy Haas. And Andy Haas, that was the first time you had a full display of what fulls were.
Yes.
And walking by him and noticing this and being very enamored with it was Joe Massara, and it started. Get the wheels turning, and it's parlayed now into being the greatest daily contest player that's ever played.
And I think that's the interesting thing about him, because he got and is incredibly good at the repetition play, and I think that was like a knock, like early on, like, oh, he's
it was almost offensive.
The daily guy.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's runner-up in Worlds, like taking people out left and right.
It was honestly. It's a little bit of a slight. I mean, what that daily contest and all that repetition play does, it just puts more shots in the bank.
Yeah.
And he applies it all the time. You'll see shots. If we get him on some match play, which I can't imagine that we wouldn't, then, you're going to see a lot of variety of shots. So a lot of stuff to learn from.
Well, and part of the fun for me, Chris, is the course as well, right? So we're watching JoJo line this up, and look, the precision of the tee and everything speaks to the daily. But what about Baja?
Baja, this is an attacking course delight. Guys will be, if you need a par round in this course. You need a par round on this course to keep yourself with pace. If you start dropping a shot, if you have an agave 22 under like Greg Kinsler, then you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work.
So this is a chance to get off on the right foot, but I would imagine with a course like this, too, knowing that it's very scoreable, there's also an immense amount of pressure. Because if you drop a shot, especially early,
we're looking at Danny Skurlock right now, and I think for a guy like him who has potential to possibly make the cut, he won the closest to the Penn tournament last night, and right now it's keeping it together. Maybe if he can shoot a par round on Baja, it would go a long way for his confidence.
When you qualified, would you want to? What kind of player? Massara, a favorite, if you will.
Yeah.
Did you have someone in the world that you said, I'd love to qualify with that guy?
I said in my 2000, I guess if I took back to the early regional championships, like I qualified with an Andy Haas. I qualified with that, and he plays such a different game than he used to. Now everything's a lot different. The game's a lot different, but that was one guy that I looked at and I said, I'd love to play with that guy, and I've now qualified with him 4 times. And it's always – you'll learn something new every time with him.
How much in a qualifier? Because I've qualified with people. They don't want to see what I'm doing. Not that they're going to learn anything from me, but they don't want to see what other people are doing either. So, do you have a game plan in mind? Are you taking shot processing along the way?
It's a difficult thing where trying to emulate something that someone else is doing, but when it comes to something simple as a thumb shot. These guys, if you've practiced enough, they know their thumb shots, and they know how to be able to angle thumbs and being able to attack holes in that way. So, but the goal, like I said, for these guys just to keep it together right now and try to stay mistake-free. I bet you more than half this room will have a 28 under or better.
Wow, yeah, monster scoring here throughout. So, again, if you're just joining us, Golden Tee World Championship here at the Westgate. A little bit of a different vibe from last night.
Loving the Mark Gomez name. Mark Gomez and I had a little bit of a tournament. We played in the finals of the purple bracket of the Dallas Holiday Classic, and he ended up acing 18 on me to win the purple bracket. And he has now changed his name to Buried the Alpha because he buried me, which is not wrong. He did.
That looks good there.
Classic Joe Massara. And you saw that wasn't thumbs or anything.
No.
It had a pullback and everything. It wasn't as simple. He knows how to attack holes like that.
That was fantastic. All right, so I thought that was going in, by the way, but what do I know? So, okay, here we are.
And look,
yeah,
I believe Gomez has already had a hole out.
Yeah, not too bad. I'll tell you, Chris, Gomez, talk about a guy that has really really put the game together over the last, year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, just especially in this year alone, having his best tournament year he's ever had, and just kind of a young and just shots like that. He's into it today.
Yeah.
Having a great tournament year, finished fourth in Nashville, had a little bit of a faux pas with a towel where he accidentally putted the ball with his towel on 17 and if he was up one, end up tying the match. They would go to extra holes and he would lose to Gossett, Evan Gossett, the 2018 world champion.
Another guy who's had some trackball towel issues along the way, right? And actually, no, we joke, but that is something. It seems like every tournament, there's whether it's a mishit or you don't place your tee appropriately, right? You gotta be careful.
You gotta pay attention.
You gotta be careful.
You gotta pay attention, Adam. You gotta make sure you're into the game. Now, I mean, we had an issue. There's some things you can't help. I remember back in Florida this past year, Clint Grover, Ryan McCook, Clint basically didn't push a button or anything, but normally when he does this, he takes his left hand, he puts it on the deck, and he looks at the trackball. He doesn't look up. And somewhere, didn't touch the ball or anything, but it moved from a 4-wood to a 3-wood on a par 3 of Forest Knoll, would end up getting wet and losing the match. Glitches like that, we're hoping we stay away from that today.
What glitches?
No, there's no glitches in Golden Tee. There's no glitches in Golden Tee.
Sounds like a user error to me.
Yeah.